Hello, hello! I have this lovely TBR cart here that needs organizing, and I also have some tips for reading more. It's not entirely still the new year, we are into the second month, but it's never too late to try and get to your reading goal for this year. And I do have some tips for reading more books. So I thought I would share them with you while organizing this TBR cart that I have and get two things done, two video ideas into one at the same time, because I have so many video ideas that I gotta start consolidating, gotta start multitasking. Also, you may notice that this is not a fancy IKEA TBR cart because I'm cool, but I'm not that cool, and I envy you if you do have one of those. But it's a recycled shoe rack and it does its job and I'm very proud of it. So thank you, Mom, for letting me have the old shoe rack. It's very disorganized right now. You see, I'm not the best multitasker, but we're gonna make it work. I think I just need to pull everything off and sort it into piles and then put it back on. Okay, so my first tip for reading more is choose books that interest you. And I know that sounds so like duh. Like, obviously, you're not gonna read books that don't interest you. But you know, like, for me, I'm a student, so I have to do a lot of reading that I don't want to do. I have to read textbooks about stuff that does not interest me in the slightest, but I still have to read it. I have to read textbooks about stuff that I've learned so many times before, but I still have to learn it. English, I am looking at you. When I come home from school and I open a book, I want to enjoy it. And I want to read stories that like genuinely interest me. And a lot of YouTubers I've seen, and I'm no shame or like no judgment, a lot of YouTubers I've seen have created some reading goals for themselves that are more like read books that will educate me about other cultures, or read more translated books, read books by different authors, that kind of thing. And I am all for reading to gain new experiences and gain education. But for me, I really like reading books that I know I'm going to enjoy. So if I do have favorite authors, I really enjoy reading their books, so I go back to them and read that same author over and over again because I know I'm going to genuinely enjoy it. So that's where, like, if you want to prioritize reading, read something that you're going to enjoy. Don't feel like you have to read a classic if you don't want to. That's why, if you're a returning subscriber, you know that I'm absolutely addicted to World War II novels. I read them because I really enjoy them and it helps me read every day. I feel very intellectual talking with a pen in my hand. And I'm not intellectual in the slightest. So like, that's where that tip is like duh, read something you enjoy, but it's also not duh. Because I feel like a lot of people feel like they have to read things that are gonna make them feel smart, and that's not true. If you like reading comedies, read a comedy. Like, seriously, read it. It's a book. My second tip is to not keep so much random stuff everywhere. That's my second tip. No, I'm kidding. My second tip is to break it up. Like, okay, yeah, we found something we like, but I can't read World War II novels back to back to back unless they're part of a series. So as much as I enjoy them, I really like to read a historical and then read a contemporary and then maybe read a classic, then maybe read a biblical fiction, like just really switching it up, or switching up writing styles. If you're going to stick in the same genre, switch up writing styles and authors, and read a long book like this one that I'm not planning to read anytime soon, and then read a short one like this one, because I so often will read a long book, like 500 plus pages, or even 400 plus pages, and I'll enjoy it. Obviously, I don't continue books if I don't enjoy them. I will enjoy it, but then I'll be like, oh my goodness, I just need to fly through a fast book or a short book, just, you know, kind of get the story over and done with. I think that makes sense. Read, like, vary it up. Long book, short book, different genres, you know. Please, for the love of God, do not read a Jane Austen book and then another Jane Austen book, because you will confuse them. And that goes for a lot of classics that are written like in the same era with the same type of genre. you can't read them back to back because you will get them mixed up, and that's why, like, I really space out my classics. I know I did a video last year where I read like 3 classics in 1 week, but they were all very different genres, so it was helpful and I kept the stories separated in my mind. Another thing that I will do, which is kind of in the same vein and helps me read, is if I've read a really heavy book, like, where is it? After I read Under the Magnolias, this book was really intense and it hit me in a really deep and personal place because it was about things that I have experienced in a way in my own life. And so I really needed to just like breathe, and I actually didn't read for quite a few days after finishing it because I was still processing the story. So reading a book that deals with heavier topics, you have to read a more lighthearted book after, unless, you know, you just have a God complex and can read hard story after hard story. Go you. That's amazing. But I have to have something to break it up. And that just helps me read and stay really interested in the stories, to just go from something light to something heavy to something light again to something long to something short. All areas of history and time. I love it. And it just keeps me on my toes in a sense. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Does anybody else say that? My family says that all the time. We're like, okay, quick commercial, and then we'll talk about something else for 2 minutes before we go back to whatever we were originally talking about. I've never heard anyone else say that, but anyway, commercial break. I want to show you some new books that I've gotten. I got some books from thrift books. We love thrift books. First I got Whose Waves These Are by Amanda Dykes. I read another Amanda Dykes book last year and I loved it. So I got this one, which is a time-split World War II novel. So we're going to put that in the World War II pile, which we're going to start eventually. And then I've been wanting to read Karen Kingsbury for actually years now. Anyway, and so I got the chance. I got it hardback, which is awesome. And I got it for like $4. So that's cool, and I'm looking forward to reading that. And then these are the 2 books that I'm most excited about. These are both new releases, and the first one is Until Leaves Fall in Paris by Sarah Sunden. I fell in love with When Twilight Breaks, which was her last release before this one, and I don't actually know if this one has been released yet, but I think it has. This will not be my next book, or my next read. The one I'm going to show you next will be my next read, and then probably this one. But I am so excited to read this book. Truly I am. And then this is the book that I am so happy to own. I never buy brand new hardbacks, like pre-order them, but this one I had to. I really splurged on it. I rarely ever do this. But I got The Lady's Mine by Francine Rivers, and I have read every single Francine Rivers book ever. Have a whole video on it. I'm really looking forward to reading this because I've heard that it's not as heavy as some of her other books, like heavy as in topic-wise. So this is going to be my next read because I think it's also a love story, like it has to be, from the cover and the description. And it's February. I'm reading a love story right now, a romance. You know, what better month to read a romance in when you're single? Commercial break done. I'm just so happy to share those books with you guys. I'm gonna organize and give you some more tips. This one is for more, like people who really like to analyze and think about what they're reading, not just read for entertainment. Journal about what you read. I don't always journal, but when I do, so I have, where is it? Here. I've really started this year, like 2022. I have done this like kind of knockoff bullet journal. And so I have like done in here, I have done the book and some facts about it, and then underneath it journaled some of my thoughts on it. And part of this is to help me when I go to actually review the book on YouTube, because I forget things a lot. So if I don't write down some of the details, I can't give you accurate reviews, and that's not good. So that has been very helpful to me this year, to just journal some of my thoughts. I've done it before. I used to write on sticky notes and put them in the books of like what I thought was going to happen and my general thoughts about the book, and that was okay, but it was just so time consuming and it would often take me forever to read books that I did that with, so I stopped doing it. Something to basically track your general thoughts about it. And the last book that I reviewed was The Girl Who Could Breathe Underwater by Erin Bartels, and I really analyzed that book. Like in my head and in the video review I did of it, I got deep into like what actually happened in that book, and I so enjoyed it because it just made me think so much deeper about the symbolism and parts of the book that I wasn't like the biggest fan of, but I understood or understand because of the like analyzing and journaling my thoughts why they were important to the novel. So I would encourage you to do that, especially like if you're reading to learn about whatever the book is about. Even fiction you can read to learn, like, duh. Okay, so another tip is to track what you're reading, like whether it's on Goodreads or just writing down a list. I did that it was before the pandemic when I was really starting to get into reading. I literally kept a physical list of the books I had read. I didn't even rate them, like with stars. And then like I knew about Goodreads, but then like somebody explained to me what it really was, and I got on Goodreads and started tracking everything. And now I use 2 different websites to track what I read, plus my bullet journal. It's a lot. I might do a video on that sometime because seriously, it's crazy how in depth I track what I read. Okay, I think those are some of my like more specific tips to reading more and some things that have helped me. Another thing that has really helped me is, like, I don't read every day, believe it or not. I actually don't. Why did I organize it that way? That was so dumb. I don't know what I was thinking, but I use this top shelf as like my nightstand, so why did I do that? Okay, so back to the tip. I don't read every day, believe it or not. I can't. I oftentimes take a day between books to just like let myself like take a break from the story and the characters, if that makes sense. I can't really explain it, just it's what I do. Or if I finish a book in the morning, I can start a book that evening, but I don't really like to. I just will like watch a TV show or something to let my mind take a break from being attached to those characters or whatever, especially if I really love the book. Like I said, Under the Magnolias, I took a solid like 3 to 5 business days to start reading another book. But when I do, on the days that I do choose to read, I like to set a timer. I used to set timers all the time. My life in the last place I lived was dictated by timers, and not in a bad way. It really, really, really helped me. And especially if I have zero motivation to read, sometimes I'll be really enjoying a book, but I'm like, I don't want to actually go through the motions of reading and absorbing the story. So I'll just be like, okay, read for 15 minutes or read 2 chapters. Then sometimes I'll get really into it and be really enjoying it. And that's great. We love to see it, but that doesn't always happen. So I'll just be proud of myself for reading for like half an hour that day. So something that I have been doing recently that I have loved way more than I thought I would is on YouTube. There are like, you can just search it up, like 30-minute read with me videos. And it's literally just another person reading a book in their space. And some of them like play classical music, others are nature sounds. I personally don't like to read with any sound, so I just mute them and sit, but I feel like I'm reading in the company of someone else, and it is so enjoyable. I like feel less alone. And so that's been really helping me read, especially when I get home from school and my brain is just so full. If you guys don't know, I have started college part-time, and it's a lot of content, especially the classes I'm taking. It's just a lot of content. And so I get home and I'm just like, I just want to veg out with a bag of potato chips and Netflix. And I can't really do that because that's not healthy. So I will like turn on another video and read. And sometimes I don't make it the full half hour. Sometimes I start the video over. I get so into my book at times. And yeah, I really recommend those if you struggle with reading alone. But yeah, those are my tips. This video is probably incredibly long and I'm gonna have to cut it down a lot. Okay, so I'm done organizing this. I can go over it really quickly. So on the top I have my book bullet journal and the like markers and stuff I use. Then I have my Bible and the notebook I take to church for sermon notes. Then I have some other like religious resources. Then Mansfield Park, because it doesn't really go with any of these others. These are books I've read, by the way. Mansfield Park here, my T.I. Lowe books. These are all the World War II books. These are just other books by, like this goes from biblical to contemporary, non-Christian books here, and then books that I didn't enjoy as much down here. For those of you wondering where all my other books are, they are in Charleston, South Carolina, in a crate, waiting to get to me. So if someone has connections and can get it to me faster, feel free. Then here is like my little nightstand. This is my planner because I am a slave to to-do lists in a good way. Then this is like my journal, book I'm reading now, and a pencil. Then this is all my TBR. We've got all the World War II books, one World War I. This is just a little stack of books. These are hardbacks, classics, and books that I'm not like prioritizing very much. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm sorry it's long and chaotic, but hopefully you enjoyed it. And let me know if this style was fun for you, more like laid back, just me talking to you while I'm doing other things. I was very chatty. Let me know if any of my tips like help you or are encouraging, and if you have any tips for reading more, drop them in the comments because we are all trying to improve our reading game. I know we are. 2022 has not gotten off to the best start for reading for me, but we're gonna get better. We are not going to let Goodreads telling me I'm 2 books behind set me back. Absolutely not gonna happen. So, thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a like, and if you want to see more content like this, go ahead and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video, whatever that is. Until then, bye!